Hello, this is the week 1 update video for my volatile dead Spellslinger Elementalist. This has been the most fun I have had with a build in years, probably since
Cold BV with Legacy Explode. Oh!
In this video, I'm going to do some yapping about how the league start went, problems I encountered and their solutions, how to craft your gear for the mid and early endgame versions, as well as all the gear, gems, and passive tree changes made. I'm live right now on the Twitch/PathofKY if you have any questions, or check out the FAQ in the comment section below. Starting with how the league launch went here. Act 1, Day 1, we're using Rolling Magma. It's Rolling Magma. It's strong. It's not very fun to use, but it gets you through to about Act 3, and when you're in Act 3, you can then either swap to Firestorm for a few levels, or you can just keep going with Rolling Magma like I did. And going into Act 3 in Library is when you can first initially swap to this build. I did. In hindsight, that was probably a little bit of a mistake. It still felt fine, but when this really comes online is Act 4. Literally like 10 minutes later than I swapped. You really want your lightning golem in and your first ascendancy, so you have all that mana regen, in addition to getting barrage support unlocked in early Act 4, right when you open up the mines. That is when the whole thing really comes online, and you are just go blasting the entire campaign. No gear. I was using a blue wand from Act 1, just crafting on it, crafting flat fire damage on it throughout the entire campaign, up into early mapping even. And yeah, it was a fantastic league start. I have not had this much fun in so long playing this game. Probably since Delirium League or Ritual League, before League of Calandra stuff. So what has happened, where we're going. Day 1, I was in red maps by somewhere around hour 12-ish. I am by no means a speedrunner, but I do try to go pretty fast, as fast as I can, while still checking out the mechanic and stuff. It was about 5C of gear to start doing T16s, between 5 and 10C, and I'm just, all the clearing is fantastic, but single target was a little not great. I mean, what is to be expected on 5 to 10C of gear? In Day 1, I'm wearing half gear from Acts like 5 or so. But quickly after that, just farmed up some T16s, got a little bit of money, improved on the wand. You can get a really crazy, easy, good early wand just by throwing a Deafening Essence of Anger at literally any wand. A Demon Horn is a really good early base, and then you're just completely blasting. Single target's still not going to be great at that point. It's passable, but not great. Once you get a Sandstorm Visage on, though, you are really taking off. Once you get into the crit version, you start scaling like crazy. You get into like a nice comfy like 8 to 10 mil super easily off of just that, and Wandcraft for like 15C. You get your clusters in, get a couple jewels, and you're there. Keep scaling off of that point, and you just keep going. And what you really want to work towards after filling out the entirety of the mid-game crit POB is working towards saving up a lot of money for an Archdemon crown. Multi-link Archdemon crown. This thing is a world-ending painful craft, which I will go over in just a second. But once you have this thing on, your crit can be fixed without a Sandstorm. You still got to get some more because it's not as much base crit as a Sandstorm, but with Immolate and Conk effect on here, and 30% more damage, this is where your damage starts taking off even further. About with what I have on here, we're about at 30 mil DPS in the Lowlife variant, and somewhere around 25-ish in the CI variant. I've filled out the POB with 2 different variants. If you want to go CI, you can go CI. If you'd like to go Lowlife, you can go Lowlife. I'm personally staying on Lowlife. I think it has less tankiness but more damage, but its tankiness is actually covered a lot more this patch because of Heart of Flame here. This thing is basically like pre-nerf Vol Molten Shell on steroids. It is completely insane. What you really want to look for here is the cooldown recovery rate and increased duration suffixes on this Graft. I don't even have them on here. I've been just too lazy to change it. It has a fire pen on there, though. I like that. As you can see, 4,584 damage from Molten Shell, with 80% of damage taken from hits before life. Now, this only works on the low life version, not on CI. That is because, as the top there, it requires you to be missing an amount of life, and you cannot miss life on CI, or else your character would be dead. First off, just talking about the kind of wand you want to be looking for in a Sandstorm Visage setup. Once you have Sandstorm Visage, then you go crit. You do not go crit before a Sandstorm Visage. And once you do have that Sandstorm Visage on, you are going to be looking for a wand like this. You can get a Fractured Local Increased Critical Strike Chance wand for super cheap. You can get it on either a Demon's Horn base, which is slightly more high value early on, and you can also get it on a Prophecy or Omen wand base. Has a little more attack speed, a little more crit chance on those bases. Once you do that, all you gotta do is throw a couple Deafening Essences of Anger at these until you see something that you like. Increased crit, spell crit is good. You can get spell damage, fire damage, all that's good. Crit multi, even, all great stats. You can make this in literally 15C. The bases are anywhere between 1 and 5C, and throw a couple essences at it, and you're done. Once you are out of the Sandstorm Visage version, let's talk about this helmet here. Here is how you craft this. You need to buy a Archdemon crown that has item level 84, and then you're going to get any random shaper base item and make this Elder, Awakener's Orb onto this helmet, just with no other stats. Doesn't matter what stats are on there, just needs to be shaper and Elder at the end of it. Once you have a shaper Elder Archdemon crown, you're going to use Essence of Horror and spam Essence of Horror until you see Immolate. Once you have Immolate on the helm, if you have a third suffix, you will have to YOLO annul off the third suffix. A lot of the time you're gonna fail. When you fail, you go back to spamming essences until you see it again. Eventually, you succeed. As you can see, you can get very, 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 very unlucky. Don't look, okay? Next up, once you have a empty suffix and these two mods, then you have to craft suffixes cannot be changed. Harvest, Reforge, Critical. It's then a 1 in 6 to hit +3 spell crit. We hit +2/+2 spell crit, and we filled our prefixes. This can happen about 1 in 12 times. You will fill your prefixes. Worst case scenario just happened right off the bat. Here we landed Shaper. Now, normally, you would just go for a YOLO annul. Again, try to annul off the crit. If you fail, go back to essence spamming. But in this case, since we landed +2 spell crit, there's actually a way we can try to save this. If you get an influence modifier on your prefix, and you have +2 spell crit, then you can Orb of Dominance and attempt to elevate the spell crit. Here, we removed spell crit and elevated Immolate. That doesn't matter. It's bricked. You just go back to spamming essences. But let's say we succeed eventually. Here we succeeded in hitting Immolate while removing our prefix. You could then do suffixes cannot be changed. Okay. Reforge. Critical. Reforge, sorry. Influence again. That'll add an influence marker to the prefix. And once again, you can attempt to elevate your critical strike chance here. We failed. It's bricked. You go back to essence spamming. Let's just say we succeed. And now we have this. You do not need 25 Immolate. This is just for demonstration. But let's just say you have 20 Immolate and 3 crit chance. You then lock suffixes, scour, if there are any prefix modifiers, craft mana, slam. Then, if you don't get concentrated effect, craft suffixes cannot be changed, scour, craft mana, slam. Repeat this process over and over again until you see concentrated effect. Now, once you hit concentrated effect on here, if you hit it first before slamming a second modifier, you can then use a Foulborn Exalted Orb to try to get some higher tier mod. If not, then leave it unless you are very rich and ready to go for a very big helmet. Once you get that, though, all you do is craft socketed gems +1, socketed AoE gems, and you're done. As for the shield here, there's many different ways that you can make a shield like this. I've recombinated this on stream. Basically, all you do is grab either a shield that looks good, that has the block chance and the spell crit on it, and then you can just YOLO slam on with a Shaper's Exalted Orb going for percent energy shield, 5% of energy shield on block, I mean, and it is a 1 in 10 to land that suffix. That is probably the simplest way to craft these things, especially when Shaper's Exalted Orbs are only like 30C right now. Another way to do this, though, is to use Deafening Essences of Loathing to just craft a shield yourself, again on a regular titanium shield base. Deafening Loathing until you hit spell crit, and then you Shaper's Exalted Orb the suffix on there. Or you could, even go for more mods than just spell crit if you like. It's incredibly common to get spell crit. It's like a 1 in 12, if I remember correctly, to hit T2 or above spell crit. You can also recombinate, which is how I made this one. Again, same thing. You can just buy bases with a combination of spell crit, energy shield, life if you're on the low life version, and then you just recombinate them with 5% of energy shield on block. Ideally, you want no more than 2 to 3 prefixes or suffixes in total across both of those items. So you want to attempt to annul off some bad mods so you don't dilute your pool with a bunch of crap. Okay. Other than that, rares this league are pretty pointless to craft, in my opinion. The Breach Tree just dumps insane rares onto the market. You can get a 1000 ES 6-link chest piece for like 1 div. You can get an 800 ES chest piece 6-link for 5C. It is crazy. I bought this pair of boots for 80C. Yeah, T1 life, T2 ES, 35% move speed, triple res, T1, T2, T2 for 80C. That was probably a pretty good pickup, but the rares are so cheap. In my opinion, it is basically pointless to craft any non-influenced rare in the current state of the game. Anything that can come out of a tree, out of the Breach Tree, you should just buy, because they're just simply so much cheaper than crafting. Moving on to the amulet here. This is like a low budget-ish amulet. All you gotta do is buy a fractured +1 fire skill or all skill base. Fire skill is gonna be way cheaper, and then you Deafening Essence of Scorn this with for the crit multi until you see what you like, and you're done. This will be upgraded later to a +2 amulet. Side note here: a lot of people saw replica Dragon's Fang's flight prices being at like 15 div or something crazy. Do not pay that. It is literally not worth it at all. This amulet is 2% less damage than a Dragon's Fang's flight. We care a lot less about plus to gems than does a typical spell build, because we simply get so much flat damage from Spellslinger support. So do not overspend on your amulet for a Dragon's Fangs. Just craft a rare one. Other than that, Foulborn Barracks Respite has been crazy. This thing feels so good. It's like Oriath's End, but better. It has less damage on the explode, but it just always happens. Unfortunately, they can't chain. However, there is a double Foulborn version of this that is very expensive that can chain off of itself, and you can look to upgrade to that later. You can also just run a second rare ring here. Get a fractured base, slam some Deafening Scorns into it until it looks good. Talking a little bit about just this character, things I've noticed: most of the time when you go low life on this character, on any character, you really want a form of chaos damage does not bypass energy shield. However, with this league and this Graft, Heart of the Flame, I have not died but 2 times to chaos damage actually bypassing my low life. No form of chaos damage prevention here for bypass. It seems good enough, unless you're doing something very specific and you're getting a ton of chaos damage, like you really want to click chaos altars. This is more than good enough for softcore. Talking a little bit about the low life version versus the CI version. Low life, you're going to have more damage. CI, you are going to have a little bit more tankiness. Popping up the POB here, this is the current state of the low life character, somewhere around 30 mil DPS. And popping over to the CI, we are at 25.5, but we have higher EHP on the CI, 492 versus, where are we at? 214. Okay, keep in mind that this doesn't count the grafts on your character. You know, the grafts are in here, but they don't have like the skills and they're not really active. So these numbers are actually a lot higher for both of them due to the grafts. I want to finish off this video with talking about my opinions on the current state of the game. Obviously, a lot of people are upset right now, complaining about just loot in the game is really bad, and for good reason. Basically, every top-end strategy in the game was removed in this patch. Risk Scarab stacking, gone. Titanic Rogue Exiles no longer spawn as Gigantics in the rituals, so those are gone. Blight Scarab of Blooming, I think it is called, was nerfed so that they don't spawn additional waves of monsters. And if you didn't know, that was like 60 or so additional rare packs that was spawning, that it no longer spawns. T17 the map mods on T17's quant values are now lower, and on top of this, all of that was fine in my opinion. Them removing these things, in my opinion, is actually very good for the health of the game, and those strategies that existed before were very bad for the health of the game because they all revolved around toughness scaling of the mobs. And what this worked out to was the mobs do obscene amounts of damage and they take no damage. So you either need to be playing a multi-mirror build, or you need to be playing a very, 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 very expensive build that is also top meta of the game. There was build diversity in relation to these strategies is basically zero. You just have to be playing the absolute best of the best, or you cannot do them. So I was actually glad that they removed them. I think it's much better for the health of the game if they remove them. Now, what did not make any sense at all to me was the sweeping 30% loot nerf that was applied to the entire game as a whole in the form of removing explicit map mod effect of 36% from the tree. This can be anywhere between like a 25% global loot nerf to way more depending on what you're doing. So that was a bit bizarre. I understand that if they want to move away from explicit map mod effect from the game, that would be fine with me, because explicit map mod effect stacking to such insane degrees ends up being, again, really cringe to deal with. Modifiers like 60% less recovery rate go from 60% less recovery rate up and over 100%, so you just have no recovery. This applies to a ton of other mods, such as chance to avoid elemental ailments. That goes from 70% up over 100%, so you simply can't apply any ailments. This applies to a wide range of mods in the game. So if they wanted to move away from explicit map mod effect, that is all right with me. But why was it replaced with nothing? This is going to come back to one of my main points, and my basically only long-standing problem with the game in its current state is that since Lake of Kalandra and the nerf to the historic bonus of item quantity and rarity of League monsters, the game at a base has been in shambles. Back in the day, you used to just go into a map. If you saw a Harbinger, you're like, ooh, a Harbinger. I'm going to interact with that content, even if I don't have any scarabs for it, or my Atlas. Back then, you didn't have the Atlas tree, but no Atlas tree. You don't have any scarabs on that, whatever. I see it, I'm going to do it, because I interact with that mechanic, and the monsters that I kill in that League mechanic are going to drop me better than average loot. That is not in the game anymore ever since the change they made to the historic bonus of item quantity and rarity of League mechanic monsters. So all of these problems and all of this loot issues that people see in the game today, in my opinion, just stems all the way back to that. And if they just remove that change, the game would just be in an incredible state. Obviously, they need to make some adjustments to stuff like T17s and stuff to work around that, but I am on a massive amount of copium, hoping that they do revert that. Other than that, though, the League mechanic itself, I think, is actually more rewarding than people are saying it is. I think the only bad one really is the breach fortress that is in the map itself. Those mobs clearly have some kind of bug with the amount of loot they drop. It is not, it's clearly bugged. Their quantity doesn't make any sense. But the little breach hand that you walk into is great, and the fortress that you enter in the map and go do the 24 waves, although it takes way too long, they do need to speed it up by about 100%, or give me an option to speed it up at least. Actually interacts really well with just loot in general, because it counts your maps modifiers and such. And yeah, so that was going to be it from me. If you like this video, please leave a like, and if you want to see more updates on this build, and I'm going to keep playing this for many weeks to come. If you want to see more updates on, subscribe now. I'm going to be live on Twitch when this video goes live at twitch.tv/pathofky. So, yeah, thanks for watching.
Hi, I'm Chris Wilson from Grinding Gear Games.
Subscribe now and like the video.